Good morning. Welcome to Project Learn, a Reskill and Spark in AR initiative aiming at upskilling tech enthusiasts on emerging AR technology with the help of workshops and hackathon, and building a highly engaged Spark AR community. Through these workshops, you would be taught how to build your AR effects in Spark AR Studio with features that enhance the experience of Facebook and Instagram users. I'm Anamika, and before we start the workshop, I would like to run through a small presentation to share the purpose, flow, application, and benefits of being a part of this program. So, as I mentioned, the Project Learn aims at helping you kickstart your career in the domain of augmented reality by training you in the technology. The program structure is divided into three broad stages. In the first stage, we will walk you through Spark AR Studio and teach you how to create your first AR effect from scratch, which involves importing assets, canvas face tracking, patch editor, and generating test link. In the second phase, we will move a step further, teaching you about the advanced filters and share with you Spark AR policies before you finally submit your effect. Submission of your effect will get you a meta certification and access to resources that will help you prepare for the hackathon. In the final phase, we will host a hackathons at your college level and pan India level. You would be rewarded and recognized for your efforts and contribution. Before we move further, let me quickly introduce Spark AR Studio to you all. So, Spark AR Studio is a tool used by the global community of creators and brands to create and share AR experiences using Facebook family of apps. An augmented reality is an interactive experience which digitally enhances what can be seen, heard, and touched in the real world. At the moment, we have over 600 million people using AR on Meta apps. Let's quickly have a look at what's happening in the world of AR. There are four key capabilities where AR is being used currently. To give you a brief insight on how AR is being used worldwide, we all have come across these face filters on Instagram where we can add a mask on our face. This is done by using face tracking capability. IKEA, the popular Swedish chain of home furnishing store, uses AR to help their customer choose the right furniture for their home through the world tracking capability. Similarly, while QR codes are now normal to scan, we are also able to scan the pamphlets and business cards using target tracking app. But again, the last capability to be introduced recently is the body and hand tracking capability, wherein which offers utility to fashion and e-commerce brands, allowing users to try an outfit digitally before they can click on purchase. So yeah, run through some examples of the effects that you can create. You must have come across this face filter wherein when a person screams, his hair color changes, or getting a phone call from a celebrity. There is also air has also played a very crucial role, in escalating a gamifying experience by mapping the effects with facial expressions, gestures, and head movement. During the pandemic, AR brought the world together to a drawing room by emphasizing on the moment, making the content much more interactive, enjoyable, and memorable. Now, having said this, what happens to the AR effect I have created? Well, the effect that you create can be published on your Instagram user page in the story section, in the reels. And the most amazing part is that your effect is available to the audience worldwide to use and experience. Now, okay, I have created my effects, I have posted it on Instagram, people are viewing it, but how does it help me professionally? So there are many ways in which you can use AR effects to your advantage. You can monetize on the platform by building interactive AR effects for brands and creators. You can become AR UX researcher, AR developer, and educator. You can leverage AR in your career by identifying and solving problems. You can take augmented reality career further into learning VR and XR. With so many advantages, both long term and immediate, I'm pretty sure you're going to make the most of these workshops. We had shared with you a link to download Spark AR Studio in the email. I hope you have downloaded it. And in case you haven't, please do it before we begin the session. And today, now, I'll introduce to you to the mentor for the day. We have with us Shivani Deshpande, who is an electronics and telecommunication engineer. She works as a full-time augmented reality developer. She specializes in web AR, in-app AR, and social AR. Welcome, Shivani.
Hi, thank you so much. Hello, everyone.
Thank you for taking out time on a busy morning.
No problem.
So I'm
Okay,
handing over the stage to you, Shivani.
okay, thank you so much. Hi, guys. I'm Shivani Deshpande. I'm an AR developer from Mumbai, and I have been working on Spark AR since last 3 years now. Today, we are going to learn a little bit about the software, and we are going to make a very cool effect. So I'll just give you a short peek of what we're going to do. So first, I'm going to talk a little about my journey, and then I'm going to show you some effects that are possible to make using Spark AR. After that, we will go to our Spark AR studio, and we will just go through walk through the software and see what all can you do and what are the uses of Spark AR. We'll also talk a little about AR in general. What is AR? What is XR? What is VR and MR? So that we'll just talk a little about it, and we'll also talk about some use cases of AR today, the different ways we can use AR. So yeah, let's go with it. Firstly, I'm going to show you the AR effect that we are making today. Just gonna share my screen. Just a second. Okay. Um, this is the demo video. This is what we're going to make today. I think the assets must have been emailed to you. Okay. So, hi, let's begin. I have been using Spark AR since 2019 now, and I started with making some simple color effects or filters, which are widely known as filters. And from there, I started with making 3D models, textures, and so on. So there are different kinds of effects you can make in Spark AR, and I'll show you some of them later on. First, let's talk about what's AR versus VR. So AR is when you augment when you augment a graphical object, be it 3D, 2D, or maybe audio into the real world in real time. It is known as augmented reality. And VR is virtual reality where you create your own virtual world. So these are the two main differences. MR is mixed reality where we have both AR and VR together, and XR is basically it is a superset of all these three things. So these are the differences. Moreover, currently what we can do is AR. We can use AR in three ways, which are social AR. For example, Lens Studio, Spark AR that we are learning today. Then there is Web AR. Web AR is AR experiences, which we can access directly through web browser. You don't need to go to some social media app or any applications for it. And then the last one is in-app AR, which is basically an application, AR application, which can be made. So these three are the different kind of ARs that are used today. And I'll just show you some effects now, which can be made using Spark AR, which is a product of Meta. So these AR experiences work on Facebook and Instagram. So I'll just show you a few examples to see what all can you do using Spark. Yeah, I'll just share my screen. Okay, so This is one of the effects. As you can see here, when you tap on the screen, you get wings. So this is one of the effects that can be made. And then there is this one. Just a second. Something's not right. Yeah, just you'll be able to see it better. Hello. Is my voice better now? Hello. Hello.
There is some static disturbance in your audio.
Okay, there are disturbances. I'm so sorry. Hello.
I think that's because of the rain. Don't go.
Yeah, it's because of the rain, but you can hear what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for the disturbance, guys. It's raining, and that's why there is continuous noise in the background. Okay, I'll
Sure,
just
no problem.
continue.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'll just share some effects that I've made. Okay. So this is first effect I was talking about. What happens over here is when you click on the screen, you get butterfly wings on your back. Then another thing you can do is you can change your hair color. So you can make your hair color whichever color you like using Spark AR. This is something. Then you can also use audio for your for your effects. So what happens is when you speak in this effect, the flowers which I have positioned on my face move according to the sound according to my voice. Then you can create different kind of 3D AR effects like this one. Here the basic concept is I have made a hole inside my face, and there are mushrooms and stuff growing inside. So this is a 3D AR effect. Then you can make makeup effects like this one. Then you can make game effects. So this is one game effect I have made recently using face tracking, which is something we are going to learn today. And then you can also do plane tracking, which is using your back camera to access the AR experience. And I have made a whole escape room over here where you have to find keys and escape from one room to another in the given time. Yeah, these are some effects that I wanted to show you. Moving on, so I hope this has given you a basic idea of what can be done in Spark AR. Now, once we are done with that, I'm going to move to the Spark AR Studio, and we are going to learn a little bit about the interface of Spark AR Studio, and then we'll start with our AR effect. So, if you guys haven't yet downloaded Spark AR Studio, I would suggest you please do that. It is very easy and it won't take a lot of time. So I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to go to Spark AR Studio now. when you open your Spark AR Studio, this is what you get. So basically, there are a lot of templates which have been pre-made and available for you guys when you open Spark AR. So there are different kind of things. Like I said, there was one where you could use audio. So there's similar one over here, audio visualizer. Then there are a lot of different kinds. There is plane tracking, there are hand tracking, there is depth texture. These are some, you can say, some things that you can do in Spark here. Target tracking is also something you can do over here. So there are a lot of templates that you can use and start building on. But in case you don't want to use templates and you want to start from scratch, we also have over here blank projects where we get to decide if we want to, what kind of experience you want to create. And then we have a sharing experience, which is a AR experience that we can share on stories, reels, posts, messages, etc. And then there is one video calling experience, which is AR experiences for real-time calls, the real-time video calls that we do using Messenger or Instagram. That's where we can use these video calling experience. And then furthermore, if you look at in the left, you have a few other options over here. First is to learn. So you can just click on learn, and you can go and learn a few things or a few kind of effects that you can make using Spark AR. Get a lot of resources over here as well. How to use your reference assets, how to make your textures for effects, etc. All these tutorials are available over here. So you just can go through that later on and check if something interesting they're teaching over here, and you can try making that. Then there is a option for recent projects. Recent projects are the projects that we have recently made. So we are not going there. What we want to do is we are going to go to create new, and we are going to choose blank project. So this is how your screen will look when we open a blank project. And let's start deciphering this software. Okay, so at the left you have something known as scene panel. So what happens in scene panel is when you add an object, or when you add some kind of object, 3D, 2D, or whatever that you're making, it is displayed over there. You can see there are a few objects which are already there, which is device, camera, focal distance, and two different types of lights. So these are already available in all the blank projects or any kind of projects that you open. Then here is a plus sign at the bottom right. When you click on that, you can access all different kind of objects that you can use while making while making AR experiences. Sorry. Then besides that, there is a icon of a camera of a video device, and when you click on it, you see there are a lot of real-time simulations that are available to test your effect, to see how it looks on different faces and people. And then you also have a few for back camera. So if you're making an effect for back camera, you can have these kind of simulation videos as well. Moreover, you can also access your own camera, but currently I cannot because it's already been used right now. So I'm just going to use a real-time simulation. Then there is something known as assets panel over here. So what happens is, to make AR experiences, you need to have a few kind of textures or 3D objects that you're going to use. So what we are going to do is we will add those textures or those 3D objects, those materials in the asset panel. So you can import them from computer, or you can search from asset library. Now what is asset library? So over here, if you see this sign in the left, that's where you can access the asset library from. It is basically a vast collection of 3D objects, sounds, patches, script packages, color lookup tables, blocks, etc. So you can just access these to, maybe you don't want to get a texture, you don't want to download a texture or make a texture, so you can just come here. There is a vast resource library over here. So there are 3D objects that I can take from here. There is different kinds of music, patch assets which are used to make logic for your effects, the textures, etc. So this is asset library. Moving on, below assets library there is something. There's a phone outline phone icon. So from there you can send a test link to your mobile, so or to a desktop Spark AR player. So what happens is when you're making an effect and you want to try how it looks, so that's something you can do from over here. And then there is a project properties option in the bottom left. When you click on that, it's asking you to choose an experience type, because we have just opened a blank project. The project does not know what kind of AR experience do we want. So we'll just click on change project properties, and we'll get this screen in front of us. So as you can see, there's no experience selected. So what we'll do is we'll add an experience. So you have 3 types of experiences you can make: sharing experience, as I mentioned earlier. Then there is video calling experience, and there is ads. So currently we are going to create a sharing experience. So I'm just going to insert this. Now once you insert this, you get an option over here to choose which platforms do you want this experience to work on: Facebook, Instagram. And in Instagram there are 2 options. One is camera and other is existing media. So we are going to just use camera for this, and on Facebook and Instagram we want our AR experience to work on both for now. So let's do done. And now if you see on test device option, you can option to send the link to Instagram as well as to Facebook. Okay, moving on. Let's go back to our scene panel where everything is going to happen. So when you click on the plus sign, you can see there are few different types of 3D objects over here. So in the first 4 you see are basically very crucial, and we make effects using these 4. In the sense, any effect you make, one of these are present. For example, there's a face tracker which basically tracks your face, and then you can make face effects or effects which use your face or track your face. Then there is a plane tracker. This is accessed by back camera, and it tracks a plane in X, Y, or Z position. Then there is a target tracker. So target tracker is you can have a 2D image, and you can track when you place your camera in front of the target 2D image, you can trigger an AR experience. This is one kind. Then there is hand tracker. What happens with hand tracker is it tracks your hands. So you can make AR experiences using your hands. So these 4, we need to use one of these 4 when we are making an effect. Today we are going to start with the basics. So we are going to start with a face tracker. So I click on face tracker, and as you can see over here in the right side, they have given you a little bit about what face tracker is. And then there is also an option to view documentation, which takes you to Spark AR's learn segment. And yeah, so you can see it from here. So let's just select face tracker. Now that we have our face tracker over here, you can see there are 3 arrows on the face over here in between. That basically shows that the face has been tracked. Moving on, in the right you can see the properties of the object that we have used. So over here, this face tracker, so you can see it's visible. You can click to invisible. You can uncheck it and make it invisible. Then you can see tracked faces. There is one tracked face right now. You can have multiple tracked faces, and some other properties of face tracker that you may learn later on today. Moving on, so this is my face tracker. Now I have set up my face tracker. The AR experience is tracking my face. What to do next? Next, we need to put something on our face because our face has been tracked. So I'm just going to right click on this. You can either right click on face tracker to add an object, or you can just press on plus. We are going to right click on our face object. face tracker. Now in the second section, after all the trackers are done, you can see there are few other 3D objects. There is a plane, null object, a 3D object, a face mesh. So these are different kind of things you can add on your face. I'm sorry, 3D objects that you can have on your face. And then there is canvas, rectangle, 2D stack, 2D text. Those are two-dimensional objects that you can use in your face. So the difference in these two are that when using 3D objects, you can move or manipulate the 3D objects in X, Y, and Z direction. Whereas for 2D objects, you can just change them in X or Y direction. So let's just try using one. I'm going to try with my face mesh. So I'm selecting it. So as you can see, in the right over here, you can see the simulation. This is how it will look in your phone basically, and you can also change your phone mode using this. So for example, there is just 3 lines over here. Click on that, and you get to select iOS devices, Android devices. You can select the one you want to see how the effect will look in, and yeah, and you can just see the simulation over there. Okay, I'm going to set it to iPhone 13 Pro. This is how it will look. Moving on. Just a second.
Shivani, can you check your audio input once?
Yeah, just a second. I'm so sorry for the audio.
Is this better?
Much better.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen again. Okay, so coming back, I'm just going to do these steps that we did again. I'm going to add an experience for us. We are going to have a sharing experience. The CR experience will be available on Instagram as well as Facebook. Then I'm going to go to my scene panel, and I'm going to add a face tracker because we are going to track our face today. And I'm going to now add one of these 3D objects on it. So let's try face mesh. So if you can see over here in our simulator, there is a face mesh. There is a face mesh on the tracked face. So what this allows you to do is this allows you to make effects like a makeup effect or maybe a tattoo effect. So it looks like a real face. You can put a texture on this, and I'll just show you how will that look. So if you can see it in the properties panel that we saw earlier, you have a few properties of this face mesh. So there is visibility, there is tracking the face, which face are we tracking, and then there is tracking eyes and mouth if you want to track eyes or mouth or not. And then there are few transformations over here to position, scale, or change the rotation of the 3D object. Later on over here you have an option of material. So when you click on materials, this is how it starts looking. So now what you've done is you have downloaded used a face tracker to track your face. You have added a 3D face mesh which gives overlays on your real face on your face, and then you have added a material on it. So now in the material, what we are going to do is we are going to add a texture. So what happens is this texture will be visible on your face. So here is the material that we have. So I'm just going to click on the material. It has been placed in the material assets panel. And so when I click on material in the right, in the properties panel, you'll see there are a lot of different options and functions that we have gotten. So let's see a few, let's understand a little bit of what these do and move on. So let's go first to the shader type that's given at the top. It determines the appearance of an asset and how a light will fall on your object. So for standard, you can see how the light is falling on the face. And then if I change it to flat, you will see the light does not affect the material. The light won't change how it looks. Moving on, then third is physically based. You can see over here the light reflects, and you can change the metallicness and the roughness, so making it very metallic. And this is how you can change the roughness also. What you can do is you can maybe go and get a environment texture over here. This is just for an example. I'm going to import this texture to my project. It is visible over here in the assets panel only. So this is I'm just going to show you how this um, this texture affects when you use a physically based shader type. So what happens in physically based shader type is it is the most realistic. It is used for 3D objects, mostly for gaming or making something shiny, making it appear more realistic. So I've turned metallic into 100. I'm just going to change its environment over here. There is an option environment, because this is the environment texture. I'm just going to check it, and then I get to choose a texture. I'm going to use this texture. So you can see how it has become metallic. But if you remove the metallicness and add roughness, this is how it will look. And yeah, you can just toggle with the roughness, and you can change the way this material will look on your face. Now when the roughness is 0, it is totally metallic. It looks like metal. But as you increase it, it starts becoming more non-metallic. So yeah, this is an example of how you can make objects or materials using a physically based shader type. Moreover, there are a few other shader properties over here. You can choose textures, and you can have blending modes. You can also change the opacity of the effect that you're using. So now this looks more plastic. Okay, but we're not using physically based today. We will be using flat. There are a few other different types. There is a face paint, which, as the name suggests, would give you a face paint look. There's a blended. There's a retouching one, which will give you a retouched face. Then we have shader assets, which is basically for using shaders, which is something we're not going to learn today. We'll be learning it later on. We are going to do flat. We are going to keep our material flat for this. And this is how it will look. Now you can see, if we go back to a face mesh, you can see the eyes and mouth are unchecked. So basically they are not being tracked. So we'll just check it again. And yeah, this is how we use face mesh most of the times. When we are using a texture imported from Photoshop or from third-party applications. Moving on, I'm just going to add another object in my face tracker, which is a plane. So you can see now the plane has been added on my face. You can see the difference. This is a plane. It can be changed in X, Y, and Z directions. And how you can do that is, in the top you have these 3 options to scale, to change the rotation, and to change the position. These 3 are known as manipulators, and you can manipulate an object using them. So for example, I can change the direction of the plane in X, Y, and Z direction. So as you can see, this is X. Sorry, I'm sorry, this is Z, Y, Y, X. You can change it in all three directions from the manipulators, and you can also change it from the transformation option we have in the properties panel. So the positions, I'm just going to do 0 again. 0 0 0. So they have come back to where it was. And rotation also I can do 0 0 and 0. You can change the rotation from here as well. Let's change the view of our this. Let's take it to back so that we can see it properly. And yeah, you can change the rotation, you can change the scaling. So yeah, you can do this from here, and you can do that from there, from the properties panel as well. So I'll just change them back to 0 now. Now you can see it's not visible because I changed the scale to 0 as well. I'm changing it back to 1. Okay, so what we are going to do is, we are not going to need our face mesh today. I'm going to delete this. We'll be using our face, we'll be using a plane. And similar to plane, if we go back to our list of objects that we can use, you can see plane is a 3D object which can be used in X, Y and Z directions. And we can use a null object, which is basically a container to group all the 3D objects, to segregate them. Similarly, for 2D objects, we have something known as rectangle. So for that, we first need to add a canvas. And as you can see, there's a blue line over here now. That is our canvas. And in the canvas, we can add a rectangle. So a rectangle has only X and Y direction. We cannot change it into Z direction. It is a 2D object, which is similar, it is a 2D counterpart to the 3D plane that we have. And we can use this to make backgrounds, and we can also add 2D text over here. So what this text will do is, it will give you the date and time kind of AR effects that you may, must have seen a lot on Instagram. So you can do that over here. You can just go to the properties panel, and there's a property dynamic text. So you can just insert maybe date, time, or whatever that you want to do. You can change the font. So this is how date and time AR effects are made. And yeah, using 2D text. Similarly, we also have 3D text. So the 3D text can be moved in X, Y and Z direction. And you can do the same using 3D text. You can use something known as dynamic text, which where you can go for date, day, time. So yeah, you can change the material. So these are a few objects that are most used in Spark AR Studio to make AR experiences. This another one, which is known as a particle system. So particle system emits a lot of number of planes, and this is a 3D object, can be changed in X, Y and Z direction. So you can use this to make snow or rain or glowing particles. Yeah, you can use this to make snow. Snow is a very nice use case for emitter, and this is currently emitting in point, from a point. Then you can do that for a line or a plane or a ring, and you can change the velocity of it. You can add physics to it. You can change the speed, the birth rate. So yeah, this is something very useful to make AR experiences. Using these few objects, you can make a whole nice AR effect. And so this is a little bit about Spark AR Studio. We will obviously be adding more when we go forward and start making our AR effect. So I'm just going to go and click on new effect. And will just delete this one, discard it. Okay, so now let's begin. First, what we'll do is we will start with updating the project properties. We want this to be a sharing experience on Instagram and Facebook for now, and click on done. Then we are going to have a face tracker inserted in our scene panel, and in the face track we are going to add a plane. So now you can see the plane has been placed in front of your face. Now what we are going to do, first step, is we are going to create the cat ears that we saw in the video some time ago. So let's just name this cat ears. And the next thing we'll do is we'll create a material. So I'm just going to click on the materials option in the properties panel. I get a material 1. So let's go to material 1 and name it as ears matte. Okay, and I want this to be standard because I already have textures. I think they have been emailed to you as well. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on flat. So now you can see no light will affect on it. Light as in the light used in the AR experience, by the way. So no light will be affecting it. I'm going to choose my texture now. So you can choose two types of textures, which is a normal texture or an animation sequence. So what happens is you cannot use a video or a GIF. You cannot import it directly to Spark AR. So what you need to do is you need to take that image animation, go to a online image animation, yeah, image GIF to image converter, and convert that animation to a series of textures. So animation sequence, image sequence. So that image sequence can be uploaded and then animated again in Spark AR Studio. We'll see that later on today itself. So for now, let's go get our cat ears. I'm going to click on new texture, and okay, where is my textures? Okay, here it is. So these are the textures we're going to use. We're going to use our cat ears now. So you can see the cat ears are in front of my face, but I want it over my head like real ears. So what I'm going to do is I can try to use manipulators and drag them, but that is a difficult task, right? So let's go to our there's something known as patch editor. So let's go to our patch editor, go to view option and show patch editor. So what patch editor does is basically it's visual coding. So basically you know the logic of how to do something, but you don't know the syntaxes or you don't want to literally write code, so you can use your patch editor. It is a visual coding option over here. Excuse me. So we are going to drag our face tracker in the patch editor like this. There are a few things, few patches that you can use over here. A lot of patches, in fact. There are patches to animate, for audio, then body landmarks. Then there are a few more face landmarks where you want some specific material of a specific object to be. Interactions. So if you blink, there is some trigger. If you smile, there is some trigger. All these kind of interactions. Then there are some used for logics, which is greater than, equal to, equals exactly, if then else, less or equal, less than, or, and, not. All these logic options are over here. Then there are a few maths related to math that you can use to make physics and stuff, and to make some other types of effects. Then there is few other patches that you can just go through, and if you don't understand, if you maybe want to know about a patch and you don't understand what that patch is, so on the right there is an option of view documentation. This will take you to Spark AR's website and they have a nice documentation over it, so you can check that out. So moving on, I have dragged my face tracker in the patch editor. Now you can see patch editor has these small the patches on in the patch editor have these small arrow signs. These are basically known as nodes. So these are used to connect one patch to another. Like you can see, the face finder patch has been connected to the face select patch, which has been connected to the face tracker patch. So in the similar way, we are going to continue, and we are going to click on the face node and pull like drag it a little bit, so we get this a directory basically of patches available. And we'll go to face landmarks. I want the ears to be over my forehead, so I'm just going to click on forehead and add it over here. Now you have two nodes over here, center and top. So we want our cat ears to be on top of my forehead, not in the center. So just let's go to the 3D object cat ears and click on position. And there's a arrow besides position as well, which is a node. So when you hover your cursor around it, you will see it turns yellow. That's because you can get that position into patch editor. So I'm just going to click on that, and you can see the 3D position is now available in the patch editor. I'm going to connect this to top, and you can see over here it's connected to top. Let's scale it a little bit. I'm going to use my manipulator to scale it. And yeah, once you scale it, you can see it's over your head. So you can try it on different people to see how it looks, people with longer head or shorter head. And you can just scale it enough that it looks good on basically everyone. Yeah, okay, so this was the first part of what we were going to of our effect. Now let's go to the second, which is whiskers. Now let's talk about what we are going to do with this whiskers. Okay, so this the cat effect that we are making has whiskers, and when you smile, there's a trigger, animation trigger, and the whiskers start moving. So that's something we're going to do. So for that, what we need image sequence, which, as I said earlier, is something you can get. You can just get a GIF or a video, and you can go to Google and search for GIF to PNG converter, and you can see there are like thousands of converters that are available. So using that, you need to make image sequences. Okay, so I'll go back to my face tracker. This is also going to be on plane. We don't want it stuck to our face. We want it a little, at a distance. So let's go to the face tracker, and let's take another plane for us. Let's name it whiskers. Let's create a material for this, same way that we did for cat ears. Create new material, and let's go to the material. We want this to be flat as well, because flat does not get affected by the lights around. We go to flat. So this is how it's looking currently. Now what we are going to do is we are going to take the texture. So click over here. You get two options, new texture and new animation sequence. We click on animation sequence. Just a second. Excuse me. So yeah, we get animation sequence over here. This is one way to get the animation sequence. Another way is we can just directly go to our assets panel and click on plus sign over there and take an animation sequence. So once we have our animation sequence, it's asking us to choose a file. So let's do that. Let's add new textures. As you can see over here, I have named these whiskers as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they are in sequence. So this basically was a GIF at first, a transparent background GIF, which I used an online converter to make these 6 images with transparent background. So I'm just going to select them and I'm going to import it here. Now you can see the whiskers are moving, but they are moving too fast for us. So what we do is, there are control options over here in the properties panel. So the first one is to keep it in loop. If you want it to play just once, you just remove the loop, but we want it to be in loop, so it will be in loop. Next is randomize. We don't need to randomize it right now. We want this to be in the same sequence. You can change the sequence and randomize the sequence using the randomizing box. We don't want to do that now. So next thing we are going to do is frames per second, FPS. So you can see there are 25 frames per second currently. That's why they are moving so fast. So let's try keeping 6. So this 6 frames per second. You can see they are moving. Let's try to keep it 3. You can see they are moving slow now. Let's keep 8. Okay. Now first things, what we'll do is we will position it on our nose. It will be similar to how we did our cat ears. You can see the face finder, face select and face track is already in place. So we'll just use right click on the patch editor to get this. We'll just use body landmark, face landmarks, and go for nose. And we'll connect the face to the face node of the nose. Now we have options for bridge, left nostril, right nostril, nose tip. So we want it to be on a nose tip, right? So just let's name it first. Naming is always a good practice, so that when you come back to your effect after a long time, if you want to change something or update something, because of naming, you know, get to understand what all did you do and what was what. You don't need to sit and figure out what did you do some ages ago. So naming is a very good practice over here. I'm going to my whiskers and I'm getting the 3D position in my patch editor and connecting it to nose tip. So this is how it's looking currently, not quite the way we want. And if you notice, it's also, when he moves around, it's also getting fluctuating. The texture is fluctuating. You can see only half of it visible. So now what we'll do is we'll be going back to our material, naming it again, and then the first thing we'll do is, there is something known as advanced render options at the bottom. I'm just going to go there and uncheck depth. I used to use depth test and write depth test. This is very basic but a very crucial thing to do. So what happens is, when you're using two planes in the same layer, you can layer it differently, but if you're using it in the same layer, it can clash, and there is possibility that you won't be able to see one of the textures, or it keeps disappearing. So to avoid that, you just need to go to the material and uncheck both of these options. This is one of the most common issue, and I have also faced it a lot when I was beginning. I did not know what to do. So it was like I was doing everything right, but still nothing was right. Because of this, something was wrong and I couldn't figure it out. But it was just unchecking these two things. It was that easy. So always remember to do this. It's very crucial. Okay, so moving on. Another thing that we are going to do is we are going to change the color. As you can see, the whiskers are grayish in color. We want them to be black. So what we'll do is, we'll go over here in the materials scene, and we'll change the color over here. We'll change it to black. So now you can see it's turned black. So okay, now that our whiskers are black and the depth also has been unchecked, next thing we are going to do is we are going to scale it down a little bit, because it's currently too stretched. So you can just scale it down this way, a little bit more. Yeah, so now you can see this, it has been scaled down. It's fitting perfectly on your nose tip, and it is moving. Your whiskers are moving. So the next thing you're going to do is, currently you can see your whiskers are moving continuously. So what you're going to do is you're going to use a trigger, and what will that trigger do is that trigger will enable the whiskers movement. So let's go back to our patch editor, and let's go and get our interactions. Let's say if I smile, the this should start, my animation should start. So I'm going to go click smile. So it captures when somebody smiles, so it will trigger the animation. And let's get it in our patch editor. Let's again connect it to our face tracker, and then what we'll do is we'll go to our whiskers mat, and you can see, yeah, go to your animation, go to your animations, and you can see over here in the advanced section there is something known as current frame. So firstly, to bring it over here in the patch editor. Second, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some other patches. So the first one that I'm going to use is known as pulse. So what will happen is, when I smile, a pulse will be passed using the pulse patch. So let's connect it over here. Then we will go to another patch which is known as switch. So what it does is that it uses a pulse signal to turn it into a Boolean signal. Okay, so I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to connect. You can see there are the nodes turned on and turned off. So I'm just going to connect them to the nodes of the switch, turn on and turn off. I'm going to bring this a little over here. Okay, now we want it to be a loop animation, or an animation which will be triggered every time we smile. Let's say loop animation, so that if we keep smiling, the animation goes on in loop. So I'm just going to connect a loop animation patch now, and as you can see, the on off node of the switch is connected to the enable node, and then you can also set the duration of how long you want the one loop to carry on. After this, what we need to do is, we have 6 frames, right? We need to use a patch which will help us transition from one frame to another. So you can see the progress patch over here. I'm going to connect this to a patch known as transition. So as you can see, transition is something, you can transition something from one state to another depending on the data type selected. So for example, this is currently vector 3. So we have x, y and z over here, values. We can turn it to vector 4, x, y, z and w. You can turn it to vector 2, just x and y. Or you can also change it to other data types like color, number, etc. So currently we want vector 3, and I'm just going to connect the progress of both of them together. And yeah, I'm sorry, we don't need vector 3, we need numbers right now, because we are going to change frames. So I have turned it into numbers, and I'm going to connect this to current frame, and we have, okay, let's see how that works. Let him smile. It's not working because I'm starting with 0 and ending with 1. So let's try that with we have taken 8 frames per second. So yeah, so now you can see when he's smiling, it starts. So this is the amount of frames we need per second. FPS was 8, so I did 8 over here. Let's try 10. Let's try what happens with 10. And yeah, when he's smiling, it's moving more properly, right? So let's just turn this also to 10. Yeah, So now when he's smiling, that triggers our whiskers. Now the next thing I want to do for today is I want to test it on my phone. So what am I going to do now is I'm going to go um, to the test on device, and I'm going to send it to Instagram. So now it will be sent to my Instagram. You need to wait till this completes. Okay, so I have got a notification on my Instagram. You can see over here, we have sent a notification on Instagram. Open the app to test your effect. This is how we can test our effect. But in case we want to show this to someone, the effect, we want to send a test link, we can just go here. There's a test link option. We can copy the link and we can paste it and send it to someone. So I'll just show you the test link. Okay, so I'm opening my Instagram, and you have this heart option over here, the notification option. There, as you can see these. I don't know if it's properly visible. It is, I think, yeah. So it is like try this effect by Shivani Deshpande. So you can just click on that, and when you click on that, you will get the effect on Instagram to try. So you can see this. Yeah, you can see how it tracks my face through this, and now I have whiskers and ears. So that's how you can try it. Yeah, so this is how you can get your test link. And that's all that we are going to learn today. Tomorrow what we are going to do is, tomorrow we are going to go to a little more advanced capabilities. We are going to add a background, animated background in fact, and then we are also going to have the school line around us, or like a border around us. So that's something we'll do tomorrow. We'll also learn how to upload this effect on Spark AR Hub, and how to submit it for reviewing, and how to basically upload and submit your first AR effect. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope my voice wasn't too bad. You can ask questions if you want in the comment section. If there are any doubts or queries you have, I'll be waiting to see your questions. And you can try this on. You can try the effect on and let me know. What effect did environment have really? Can you please elaborate your question? What do you mean by what effect did environment have? How can we integrate AR on our website? So so there are various ways to do it, but the best is to use web AR. As I specified earlier, we have three different types of AR use cases, which is one used for social media, social AR, Instagram, and Lens Studio, or Effect House for TikTok, Lens Studios for Snapchat. So these are social ARs, and there's something known as web AR, which you can directly access from web browser. So that is preferred when you're using making an AR effect for website. But similarly, you can use QR codes, or QR codes and all, to also integrate AR into your website. So when this scan it, or you can just you can just take them to the Instagram effect. That's another way, but web AR is something that's more suitable. And we cannot make web AR using Spark AR. There are other platforms like 8th Wall. You can learn more about it later on. I think you can. Okay, so I meant when we added environment forest to metallic face effect. Okay, so environment textures are textures which give you a environment lighting. So there are different types of environment textures available, of a forest, of a studio light. So it is basically a light which reflects off of physically based material. So I can just show that to you once again for better understanding. Okay, so when I go to my asset library, we have textures over here, and there are a lot of environment textures which simulate realistic high quality lightings. Okay, so there's a forest one, there is an interior, there's a night, sunset. So these can be used, and these work the best with this material type. I'm just gonna add a face tracker, sorry, a face mesh and material, and we'll go to material and shader type. We can change it to physically based. So what physically based material does, I'm unchecking, see now you can see it better. What physically based material does is it creates realistic lighting, right? So I'm just going to turn it full metallic, 100% metallic. So now you get a metallic texture. Now to understand the realistic lighting, to get the realistic lighting, we will add the environment texture, which we can search from asset library. We took forest at first. Let's try taking some other one. Let's try taking a bathroom. So this is the kind of lighting that will be visible on our face. See? And then, yeah, this is basically what it is. I hope this answers your question.
I think so. Any other questions, guys? So, okay, where can we connect with you, LinkedIn, Shivani?
Thank you so much.
So they're asking where can we connect with you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Where can we connect with you? Okay, so I do have LinkedIn. You can search Shivani Deshpande, or you can connect with me on Instagram. My ID is Shivani at the rate Deshpande, Shivani underscore Deshpande, Shivani with double I underscore Deshpande. So that's something you can do.
Um,
Oh, can you elaborate what are career opportunities for a student in your internship? Okay, so there are a lot of career opportunities. This is like my favorite question to answer. You can do a lot of things, but the first thing you need to do is you need to learn and create a good portfolio. So when you have a good portfolio, brands approach you to freelance. You can freelance for big brands, and they'll commission you to make AR effects for them. Another way is you can go work as a AR developer or a AR creator with some agencies or companies which work in the field of AR. It can be for marketing. When it comes to social AR, it is mostly for marketing. But if you want to go for web AR or in-app AR, you can also go in other fields like education or medical purposes. So yeah, these are different types of things you can do. You can look out for internships as well in these marketing agencies and all. But I would suggest the first thing you need to do is you need to create a portfolio, a good portfolio with wide variety of effects. Yeah, sure, Satyam, you can contact me on Instagram or LinkedIn. We can do something.
so, all right, thank you so much, Shivani, and we look forward to your presence tomorrow also, and look forward to what you have to teach with us, to teach to us tomorrow. And in the meantime, I would request all the students to practice what Shivani has suggested, and let's meet together tomorrow.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.